Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Tuesday, January the 24th in the year 2023. We continue looking through working our way through the Gospel of Matthew, which it is the year of Matthew in our narrative lectionary. And so this past Sunday, the reading was Matthew 4:18 through 25. We're going to concentrate pretty much on the first verses 18 through 22 this week. But just to kind of recap, chapter 1 of Matthew talks about the birth of Jesus. Chapter 2, of course, is the visit of the Magi, the wise men. Chapter 3, his baptism by John the Baptist and how he entered into not only was born in human flesh, but entered into the waters of baptism to identify with us. And then chapter 4, the beginning was the temptation in the wilderness. And now we come to, after Jesus emerges from that temptation, that trial, that testing, now he's about to begin his ministry, and he begins it by calling the first disciples. And so reading again from Matthew 4, beginning at verse 18, as he walked by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fish for people." I want to concentrate and think about that word, or that invitation, I guess you'd say, follow me. A fellow by the name of Tamasaka wrote a really interesting, I think, good piece on the difference between a fan and a follower. He asked the question, are you a fan or a follower? He writes, recently I heard that in Scotland a voluntary survey was given to law enforcement officers of their religious affiliation. That may not sound very interesting, but what caught my attention was that 8 of the officers claimed that their religious affiliation to be Jedi. I laughed at the thought because I was sure it was a prank, but I then discovered that having Jedi as one's religious affiliation is not a joke after all. It was reported that there are an increased number of people who participate in lightsaber trainings. Ouch, he says, if I remember right, one hit will take your arm right off. And meditation sessions to increase their Jedi skills. I'm not sure what I think of law enforcement having Jedi as their religious affiliation, as we've all seen what happens when a Jedi turns to the dark side. Anyways, he says, I'm a fan of Star Wars. I watch the movies. I watch the cartoons sometimes. I enjoy playing lightsaber fights with my son. If you ask me about Star Wars, I'll praise the movies, the storyline, the special effects. I'll tell you that I think all of the movies were far ahead of their time in terms of technology and storyline and computer-generated effects. But Matthew reminds me today that if I want to grow in my intimacy with my Savior, there is a great difference between an admiring fan and a devoted follower. Jesus searches for and calls his followers to be devoted followers, not admiring fans. While I am an admiring fan of Star Wars, I am surely not a devoted follower, he writes. While Star Wars entertains me, I do not change the way I live or the way I think based on the movie. I do not seek to learn more about the Force outside of the movies. I don't train in or engage in lightsaber battles except with my 6-year-old son. I don't spend time with people discussing the dynamics of Star Wars. I don't practice using my Jedi skills to control other people's thoughts, although that does sound rather fun. While I do enjoy the sights, sounds, and action that the movies provide, there is nothing significant that changes in my life because of those movies. It may be unfortunate, he says, but there are many people in the church who are admiring fans of Jesus. There are many who applaud the carpenter from Nazareth and the cross from 2,000 years ago. There are many who enjoy hearing about the miracles Jesus performed, the inspiring stories from the scriptures, and hearing the jokes that pastor will share during weekend services. However, nothing changes in their day-to-day lives. There are too many people, he says, who speak well of Jesus and the church, but neither he or his church affects what they do outside the church walls. Jesus entertains them, and they enjoy the sights and sounds that the church provides, but there are no significant changes to the way they live or how they think. They are admiring fans of Jesus. In my walk with Jesus, though, Matthew reminds me that I must be sure that I am not just an admiring fan, but a devoted follower. Jesus says in Matthew to make disciples of all nations. He doesn't want a large crowd of fans speaking well of him. He doesn't want fans of the cross and people whose faith simply entails the wearing of a cross around their neck and a bumper sticker on their car. Jesus wants followers or disciples whose hearts are thrown across the line, who make it their passion every day to please him, and who are willing to follow him with reckless abandon for his cause. I must move from being one who admires what he has done, can do, and is doing, to one who is devoted to following Jesus regardless of the cost and consequences. Good question for all of us to ask today. Am I a fan or a follower? Jesus called Peter and Andrew, and then in the later verses in our reading, James and John, to be followers. Something to ponder today. Well, I hope you have a great day. We'll be back again tomorrow as we continue to look at Matthew 4:18 to 25. Until then, take care. Bye.